LA studio by senior writer Tim Bontemps. We've got Anscape senior writer David Dennis Jr. and, of course, NBA champ, my guy. Shout out to H-Town, Kendrick Perkins. Hi, Perk.
H-Town in the building. Vanessa, look at you.
You already know.
H-Town in the big nigga, yeah.
You already know.
Tim and Fatita gonna be calling. He gonna be calling. Hey, what you doing now? You know you're home in H. You gonna be calling in a minute.
You're the best, Perk. All right, and as everybody knows, it may be July, but the NBA doesn't sleep. So let's get to one of the biggest questions left, and that is, what on earth is going on in the Bay? The Warriors made that big move at the 2025 trade deadline, acquiring Jimmy Butler. It paid off immediately. The Warriors went 22-5 down the stretch with Butler and Curry in the lineup. And yeah, it carried over to round one. As Perk and I both know, the Warriors took down the second-seeded Rockets in a hard-fought 7-game series. But the run ended in round two when Curry's Game 1 hamstring knocked him out for the rest of the series. And the Warriors have followed that up by making zero acquisitions with NBA experience this offseason. All other NBA teams have made at least a move now 3.5 weeks into free agency. And we now welcome in our senior insider, Shams Charania, who is in Miami. Shams, why has it been such a slow start to the offseason for the Golden State Warriors?
Vanessa, the Warriors' entire offseason has been essentially on pause for one player, and that's the restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga. And they have wanted to figure out his situation before making their other offseason moves. And so I saw Jonathan Kuminga this morning at a workout in Miami. He's in good spirits. He had a good workout. He did tell me, though, that he is in absolutely no rush on doing a deal with the Warriors right now, and he's not accepting their current offers. He added that he wants to continue to explore options with his agent, Aaron Turner, whether that's continuing conversations with the Warriors, but also sign and trade options that are available to him in the marketplace.
Okay, Shams, so you use the term options. What do those other options for Jonathan Kuminga look like?
I'm told the Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings are two teams that have made concrete offers with the Warriors over the last week or so. They're two of the more aggressive teams with Kuminga, and they're also offering him an opportunity for significant minutes, a starting caliber role in their lineup, and those are two things that he wants more than anything. So where this is at, Vanessa, is the Warriors do not want anything, though, that is available to them, is being offered to them in sign and trades. And on the other hand, with Jonathan Kuminga, he is not ready to move forward with taking any of the Warriors' current offers. He's not in a hurry to do a deal there yet. And so 24 days into the offseason, it's a staring contest between these two sides that could continue much longer than just this month. And so we're nearing August and still no Warriors move so far this offseason.
Great info for sure. Thank you, Shams. Okay, so the Warriors' three most important players are at least 35 years old, with Steph set to turn 38 in March, and Jimmy Butler turns 36 before the season even starts. Perk, there's been so much talk about Kuminga this offseason. When he is given an actual opportunity, what does he bring to the table?
He brings a lot. I mean, they drafted him number 7 overall in the lottery, in 2021, and he's gotten better every single season. He brings athleticism to the table on both ends of the floor. He's got better offensively. We have the tape to show it. I have a breakdown right here. When you look at Kuminga, look at his ability to get out and transition. He's one of the most athletic guys in the NBA, getting out space and running, finishing at the rim with authority, especially playing alongside Draymond Green. And we talk about how crucial the on-ball defenders are in the league at the wing position. You got a guy that's 6'8", 230 pounds that could defend at a high level. Watch this switch on Anthony Edwards, and then all of a sudden, no help, sit down, slide those puppies, get a great contest right there. He didn't hope that he missed, he made him miss. And so my question to the Warriors is, the organization and Steve Kerr is, why hasn't Steve Kerr embraced this young man? Why hasn't he wrapped his arms around him as a guy that y'all drafted with the number 7 pick? When Steph Curry went out last postseason, the back end of the Timberwolves, the games against the Timberwolves in the playoffs, he did his thing. So you're developing this young stud who, to me, has an all-NBA type ceiling. What is the problem? Every coach that I've seen, all-time greats have adjusted. Whether that was Greg Popovich, whether that was, Rick Carlisle, they all made adjustments to this new era and these new guys in the NBA That's what the Warriors need to do. They need to value this young man because he's elite. He has an elite upside.
Well, it's not that the Warriors don't value Jonathan Kuminga, right? Obviously, if they didn't value him, they would have just gotten rid of him this offseason and in whatever sign and trade they could do. The problem that the Warriors have with Jonathan Kuminga, that Jonathan Kuminga has with the Warriors, is that it's just a very awkward fit. As we saw in that clip, or in those numbers there, Jonathan Kuminga put up big numbers with Steph Curry out of the lineup. But if you have Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler dominating the ball, that means Jonathan Kuminga needs to fill in the gaps and do some smaller things for them, which are things he has been very inconsistent with and has struggled with at times. And playing a smaller role has been an issue with the Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga going forward. It's why the Jonathan Kuminga situation, to Perk's point, has not played out in the way he and the Warriors would like. But at the same time, we're also looking at a restricted free agent market where there is no salary cap space available. So sign and trades are hard. Yeah, both the Kings and Suns have interest, as Shams put it out earlier, but both of those teams don't have salary cap space to offer Jonathan Kuminga to sign him. So they have to send money back to Golden State that Golden State is not interested in taking back. So all of this, I think, points toward Jonathan Kuminga signing a short-term deal with Golden State at some point this summer that both gives them the ability to do something with him later and also gives them the ability to build on that play he had at the end of that postseason without Steph on the court, which, to Perk's point, showed what he can do and gives them, I think, some reason to come into next season if he's there saying we need to try to find a way to showcase what this guy can do, either so we can have him improve with us or we can have him improve us by moving him into trade somewhere else.
Value depends on so much, right? Like value depends what team you're on. What does the market look like? So, David, what is Jonathan Kuminga's actual value in free agency and on this Warriors team?
Well, that's the tricky thing, right? I mean, for the Warriors, I think that they have to figure this Jonathan Kuminga thing out because that is the difference between being sort of in the middle of this, log jam at the bottom of the Western Conference or being an actual contender. Like, I think that they have, the zero moves is alarming for some people, but
okay,
Anthony Belton's probably coming.
3 and 4?
Al Horford's probably coming. And then you have the idea that Kuminga is going to, you cannot have a gaping hole of Jonathan Kuminga not being on this team or whatever they're trying to get back from him. The problem is, as Tim has alluded to, this team was 0-7 in the playoffs when he played more than 20 minutes. What his value is to the Golden State Warriors is that they need a guy who can fill in those gaps, who can get those rebounds, who can play defense, who can fill in different positions. He has not quite been able to do that, and part of that is Steve Kerr, as Perk said, has been pulling the plug on Kuminga a little bit too early and not allowing him to fit into that. So the mix has been really kind of a mess, and Steve Kerr really has to take on the leadership and say, how can I figure out this Kuminga situation this year? Because, again, he is the difference between giving a little bit of more room in this window for the Warriors this season and this thing being another early exit for him.
Well, speaking of the Warriors championships, we always, with dynasties, talk about windows, right? So, Kendrick Perkins, is their championship window still open?
It's still open. I believe it's still there. Anytime you have Steph Curry, you have Jimmy Butler. We saw how they elevated their game last postseason before the injuries happened. And Draymond Green, he still has the ability to be, a great defender and anchor that defense. I love what I saw out of Pajemski last postseason. I thought towards the end of the season in the postseason, he started to grow. But again, this Jonathan Kuminga space, this Jonathan Kuminga situation, you need a guy like this. You need athleticism at the wing position. When you look at the top two teams, in my eyes, in the Western Conference, you're looking at Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, they just won the NBA championship. And then you're looking at the Houston Rockets. They keep loading up on the wing position. I ain't talking about Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm talking about bodies. That's how important it is. The athleticism is the most important position in the damn NBA, and they have a guy in Jonathan Kuminga, as David just alluded to, that could move the needle for them to take them over the hump if they just embrace him.
The problem with the Warriors having a championship window and the problem with anybody else, even including the Houston Rockets having a championship window in the West, is because there's a team that just won 68 games and won the title in the West that had 2 players older than 27 on their roster. So I think there's a very small window for just about anybody in the West to win a title right now, including Golden State. However, the Warriors did go 22-5 with Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry down the stretch. They do have a very high ceiling. Steph has always given the Thunder a lot of trouble. If they can get to the playoffs healthy, I do think they have a chance to make a run. But again, right now, to me, it's Oklahoma City and everybody else out west.
Yeah, that window is closing very fast, but there's two little light-skinned hands right there on the window pane keeping it open. That's Steph Curry. The fact that this dude is still a top 5 player in this league. And you got to remember, as you said at the very beginning, he is one hamstring injury away possibly from being in that conference finals against that Thunder team. I am not going to be doing anything that counts this dude out, but the Warriors need to figure some of these things out in the margins to make it as possible as they can for him to end his career making a few playoff runs.
One other real quick thing to add. At some point this offseason, whenever the Jonathan Kuminga thing gets sorted out, I think it's very likely Al Horford winds up with the Golden State Warriors. He will help them an awful lot whenever that move gets done, assuming everything gets cleared up with Jonathan Kuminga.
My guy Perk looked confused by DDJ's point. Perk, do you disagree?
Vanessa, let's go to commercial because David just said that Steph Curry is still. David just said that Steph Curry still is a top 5 player in the NBA, and Tim said it's Oklahoma City and everybody else. Like the Rockets just didn't get Kevin Durant. They finished second in the Western Conference last year.
Oh, I think the Rockets
without Kevin Durant, and now the Rockets have Kevin Durant. Trust me, I hear you.
Rockets are going to be quite good, Perk. Don't worry. I'm not doubting them.
All right, coming up, it is extension season.
Welcome back to Warriors Nation News, the home of every diehard Golden State Warriors supporter. And today, we need to talk. Not about Steph's shooting, not about Draymond's defense, not even about Klay's uncertain future, but about one of the most polarizing and misunderstood figures on this team, Jonathan Kuminga. You've probably seen the headlines lately. You've definitely heard Kendrick Perkins' passionate outburst on NBA Today, where he straight up asked the question that's been on a lot of our minds. Why hasn't Steve Kerr embraced this young man? That's not just media talk. That's a reflection of what so many Warriors fans have been thinking for months, maybe years. So, let's break it all down. Is Kerr truly undervaluing Kuminga? What's really going on behind closed doors in San Francisco? And where do the Warriors go from here, especially with Kuminga now entering restricted free agency and rumors flying left and right? Stay with us. You're not going to want to miss this. The Kendrick Perkins question, a voice for the people. Let's begin with Kendrick Perkins. Say what you want about him, but when he spoke about Kuminga, it felt real. He didn't hold back. He's gotten better every single season. He brings athleticism to the table on both ends of the floor. He's gotten better offensively. He's one of the most athletic guys in the NBA. That's not an exaggeration. Kuminga's vertical game is elite. His defensive potential, sky high. His ability to run the floor, switch on defense, and finish through contact. Those are tools you can't teach. Perkins continued, to the Warriors, the organization, and Steve Kerr, is why hasn't Steve Kerr embraced this young man? That's what the Warriors need to do. They need to value this young man because he's elite. Perk's words struck a nerve, and honestly, he's not wrong. What's holding Kerr back? Now, here's where things get interesting. Steve Kerr is a legendary coach. Multiple rings, built an unselfish culture, maximized Steph, Dre, Klay, and even turned Andre Iguodala into a finals MVP. But when it comes to young talent, Kerr has never been quick to trust. We saw it with James Wiseman. We saw it at times with Moses Moody. And now the saga continues with Kuminga. The tension isn't new. Last season, Kuminga himself expressed frustration over inconsistent minutes, and fans remember it vividly. One game, he'd dominate with energy and fast break dunks. The next, he'd barely touch the floor. It's not just about experience. It's about identity. Kerr loves ball movement, read and react, IQ over ISO ball. And while Kuminga has improved dramatically in his decision-making, there seems to be a philosophical disconnect. But here's the thing. Isn't growth exactly what you want from a young player? Kuminga has improved. The numbers back it up. The eye test confirms it, and teammates have vouched for his work ethic. So again, why the hesitation? Free agency limbo. What we know. Let's address the contract situation. Kuminga is now a restricted free agent, and unlike unrestricted free agents, he can't